And we're back, and it's COMP123, and it's week 6, lesson 6, part 6, part 5. Doesn't matter. Anyways, the number will be on the video. Anyway, so what I want to do, I've added one card like this add card, suits and faces. This is neat. I want to maybe keep this method for a second, although I could make it look like this as well. It looks the same, right? I'm just using a different form here with this add card method, right? But it just makes it easy. 0, the face, and the suits, and then I'm doing this. I'm just instantiating the card, right? So this is the first thing I can do. So that's why I made the method, the internal method, this add card, right? I want to add a bunch of cards to the array, and I need to do a couple of things here. One, inside my my deck, and inside this method, I want to create a new method. Actually, the best way to do this is build a new method called an internal method, by the way, called build deck, right? So here's a private method, returns void, and all it does is an internal method underscore build deck is what I'm going to make it called, right? And what it's going to, of course, do is it's going to have its own, it's going to do this, right? It's going to do this, and it's going to do this inside my build deck method. And of course, hold on a second, I'm going to call my build deck method, right? This dot build deck when I instantiate my deck, which makes sense. So once I make my deck, I build the deck, right? And that's everything inside my constructor should really outline all the actions that I'm taking when I first build when I first use it, right? So it's not taking anything in there, but the build deck method is where I'm going to do all my work in here, right? Here's my build deck method. Right now it's only adding one card. I want to make another little array, right? Right now I can call it an array of strings, right? That I could do that. I could certainly make it that way. Here's my array of strings, so string array. It's got to be something that is local, because I'm not going to mention private or public, because I can't do that inside the context of this method. So it's going to be a string array that I'm going to call suits with a lowercase, right? And I'm going to make it equal to, I'm going to instantiate it by making it equal to suits, right? Dot hearts. Actually, let's do clubs first in order. Clubs, suits dot diamonds, suits dot capital suits dot hearts, and suits dot spades, right? I'm doing this array of cards. I'm doing this thing, right? Because I want to be able to loop through it, right? I can't loop through the array, right? As an example, let me just save that, and it's saying, hey, you can only use an array initializer expression to assign to array types. Of course, I'm making an array. It's going to be a string array, right? That's what I'm doing. So that's why that's what I messed up. That's what that error means. Okay, I'm just make this a little bit slimmer so you can see it all in one space. There it is. So that's the first thing. I kind of described this local suits array, right? That's only local to this build deck method, right? And I want to loop through it. So well, the first thing I need to do is kind of create this for loop. So for, right? And I'll say, again, I can mention something like index. I'll call it index, and it's an integer, right? Right, is equal to, well, where I want to start is 0, right? In this particular case, the outer index, right? To where index is less than the suits dot length, right? The length of the suits array, right? And I want to kind of do something like index plus plus, right? So this way, it'll assign each of the objects in this block, code block, right? One of the suits. So it'll go through one suit, then the other suit, then the third suit, then the fourth suit. It'll go 0, 1, 2, 3, and it'll assign each of them. Because there's only 4 items, it'll only loop 4 times. Okay? So that means if I put this in here, right? Now I can kind of do something like this. I want to add card, right? My index is going to be the index. So instead of 0, it's going to be this, right? This is what I need to do. And instead of sending in a face and a suits of hearts, I'm going to send in my suit array, which starts at 0, by the way, right? My suit array, suits right, of index, right? Because my index is my local index here. So I'm sending the index, one of these four things, of my suits array, which I just created here locally. If you don't understand it, don't worry about it. I'm showing you what it looks like, okay? And, okay, that's good, but it doesn't take care of my faces. My faces got to increment too, right? So I've got to create another inner for loop, right? Here's my inner for loop. So for, and we'll say int, and again, I should probably int something, another word for looping through the actual faces. So I'll call this face, just to be confusing. Int face is equal to, and now we're not going to start at 0. That doesn't make any sense. We could, but we don't want to. We want to start at 1 because we're going to initialize, right? There is no 0. Int face 1, right? Until face is less than, right? Less than what? It can't be, it has to be 14, right? Because I can't do anything, I can't do 14. I can go 1 to 13, right? Face plus plus, right? I got to do that. That's my inner loop, right? You guys have done nested loops before yet? Hopefully. You don't remember. Right? Okay, cool. So here it is. Now, instead of face ace, I'm not going to even assign it by itself. I'm going to assign it so that it goes, we're going to say the number, right? Which is, in this particular case, face. Right? Because face is just going to go a number. It's going to have a number between 1 and 13. Right? So it's going to start off. It's going to hit, the first thing it's going to do is going to initialize my index says index, but if I really want to change this to make a sense of what it says, I should really want to confuse you. I can change this, I'll refactor it, and I'll name this suit. Let's see, hopefully this won't mess it up. There we go. Yeah, baby. Right? So suit, right, is the index and the outer index, right? But that doesn't make any sense because what I want to do, right, what I want to do is the card, right, this add card method, this won't make any sense. I'm sending in, it'll only do 4 suits. It'll only actually do, it'll override 4 times what I want to do. It'll go from 0, 1, 2, 3, and it won't move over properly because I need to have a kind of an X and Y coordinate system for this thing, right? I want to be able to go, when I go to 13, I want to go back and start counting again, right? So my count will be from 0, right? And it'll go to the next one, and it'll go to the next one, and it'll go to the next one. I want to look at different suits. So this methodology is not going to work for me. Why? Let's count this up before I leave for the day. And I'm trying to build this with you in my mind. You would think, hey, a nested loop, like you said, right? But here's the challenge. I start off with my suit as 0. This is what I send into my my index 0. I'm only going to go from index 0 to index 1 to index 2 to index 3, and then it's going to stop. And it's going to overwrite all the indexes over and over again. Those 4 numbers, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, are going to be overwritten. So that's not right. So I have to add the number to my suit. You see what I'm saying? So my index will start at 0. I'll do my first write, right? I'll do 13 writes, and then I'll do the next number. We'll start at 15, right? That's what it has to go like, because it has to go all the way to 52, right? Make sense? So this faces thing isn't correct. It has to go, and this suits thing isn't correct. I've got to go from 0 somehow to 52 or 51. Right? That's one thing that's got to be in there. So cards is what it's going to be in there, or card. Which card am I accessing, right? So this has got to say card, right? Not suit or faces. Suit and faces are fine over here. This is good. But this has got to be card. Card and card. How do I do that? I can make an external loop, right? I could do that. That adds each one. So like a triple nested loop, I could do that. So I could do the outer loop, and then I could decide which of the suits it goes through, right? I could do that with 4 loops, right? I could do that. Or I can make a while loop, which might make more sense, and increment my card, right? Within 2 for loops on the inside. Why am I doing this? Because I got to go from one card to the next. I got to go 0, 1, 2, 3. I got to count to 52, right? And here I have 4 suits, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I got to go through each suit and add 13 cards. And I could do this, if I was going to break this up, I can do 4 loops. If you were thinking about it in a separate way, I can do 4 separate loops, 1, 2, 3, 4, one for each suit, clubs, diamonds, hearts, and spades. And I want to go through them 13 times, right? But I can't do through the same 13 parts of my suit, right, and my deck, because it'll go from 0 to 13, 0 to 13, 0 to 13. You keep overwriting those elements over and over again. I've got to be able to go to the 14th and 15th and 16th element all the way to the 51st element. So therefore, my cards, when I loop through the thing, cannot be suit or face dependent, right? It has to be dependent on a number that goes from 0 to 52. I just go through the whole loop. But when I get to a certain number, like for example, every 13, I change my suit. I update my suit. That's what I want to do. So my outer level here, right? My outer level here is going to be my the for loop that goes from 0 to 52. The inner loop is going to be the card and the face that I'm changing. And I can use something called a Modulus Operator, the percent sign, to check to see that if I've gone through 13 cards, I increment my suit to the next one. Whew. Lots of work to build the deck, eh? Well, there's easier ways to do it. I can make 4 loops, done. Yeah. Right?
3, 4 nested loops.
No, 4 loops. That's it. 4 loops. 4 separate loops. I could do that. That's the easiest way to do it. So, but how do I combine that into one is what I'm saying. Right? This is what I'm trying to do here. To keep it simple, because we're simple right now. You were just beginning. Let's do that. Let's make 4 separate loops, and each loop is going to start off. I'm going to start building it like this: clubs from 0 to 13. I can go diamonds from 14 to the next number, and the next number and the next number. I can do that too, and I have to keep track of which numbers they are. Right? I could do that, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload this to GitHub the way it is, because this does not work, by the way. I want to upload this to GitHub, and this is something that I want you to think about. Not necessarily do on your own, but think about how am I going to implement this deck, build my deck, if I was going to do what Tom is saying and put together cards in my deck class, right? How can I do that? And when we come back from the break, maybe the week after we do our exam, I'll explain. Okay? So I'm going to go to Home, Changes. I'm going to go Updated Deck Class. And I'm going to say Incomplete. So we know that on GitHub it's an incomplete change. I'm going to go Unsync Commits and Sync. And when I go back to my GitHub, we'll end here for the day. I'm sure I'm thoroughly confused a lot of you, right? Which is good. It's a good thing. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I can check my repository now, which is Lesson 6, Part 3. And when I check through here, I can see that my deck class has this thing here. And if I go to my commits, just for those people who care, if I go to my commits, it says incomplete in my commits, which means we're not quite finished yet. Okay? And that's it for today.